Welcome in everyone to the Larsonland podcast. I'm your host, Sawyer Hill, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Dylan Bradshaw. We come on here every single Wednesday and talk about all things involving the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion, Young Money Kyle Larson. Dylan, we have a lot to unpack from this weekend at the Bristol Dirt. I want to know, what are your initial thoughts on the race?
Yeah, overall a good points race for Kyle. He picked up the stage one win after Briscoe spun out there and picked up six in stage two, and then he ended the night with a fourth place finish. A bit of a dramatic finish there at the end with Briscoe and Reddick, so nice to see a finish like that. But happy for Kyle on his finish, but I mean, I don't think the finish kind of translates to a good race. It was an okay race. The rain delays were kind of tiring and all the laps under caution. But I mean, what do you think about it?
Yeah, like you said, I think there's some good and some bad to come from the race. I think that we can we can definitely say honestly that it was a lot better than what last year's race on the Bristol Dirt was. But like I said, a lot of stuff to unpack. I kind of just want to start from the beginning of the race here and kind of just go through some of the stuff I kind of took away from it. So, I mean, what I think lap 20 it was when or like around that area when when NASCAR threw the caution for the dirt covering the grills of the cars. I think this is something that NASCAR obviously needs to address. It should be their number one thing going into next year if we have this race again. They really need to get that solved because guys like Cole Custer, the pole sitter of the race, and I think Kevin Harvick as well, got really screwed over by that whole call there from NASCAR to throw the caution after they had already pitted.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was definitely a problem. Custer was running pretty well, and he pit to clear that mud off of the screen, and kind of ultimately just messed them all up along with a few other guys. It's kind of crazy they threw that because these teams had time to prepare. Teams from last year, and they know what came with it, and they adjusted their grills accordingly, and just kind of crazy that they kind of just threw that caution and screwed these guys over. But
Yeah, I think it's one where NASCAR needs to make the decision prior to the race that I mean they've done it so many times. We've seen it over the past couple of years with all of the COVID restricted races without practice and qualifying. NASCAR opts to have the competition caution at lap 20 or 25, whatever, something like that. I think that was something that I mean a competition caution at lap 20 there probably would have solved that whole issue. And it's not like NASCAR didn't see it coming with the mud getting just absolutely covered on the grill of the cars. I mean, the track was very wet. There was a lot of loose dirt that was going to get kicked up as they ran those first couple laps of the race, and it's just something. It would just seem to be poor planning from me, or in my opinion, on NASCAR's part.
yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the track prep. Going to the car. I mean, we have certain car configurations for certain tracks, but we just kind of threw the car out there with some mud tires and that grill, and kind of like expected to perform like a real dirt race. I mean, I do think NASCAR should try to continue and make the effort to run these dirt races. I was kind of negative going in because, as we've talked about before, Bristol's such a great track, and just hate to see dirt on it, but. I just don't think the answer's for Bristol. I think NASCAR should, kind of take a route elsewhere, like maybe Knoxville Raceway or Eldora that they have ran before as potential spots to hold a Cup Dirt race. But yeah, I think we should leave these great tracks like Bristol alone and race at some established dirt tracks.
I agree with you there on that. I think that going to some established dirt tracks, you may see some of the problems kind of fall off there with like the track prep stuff. I mean, we go to a track where it's prepped every single week for racing, weekly racing and stuff. Those tracks are definitely going to have a better hold on what the track needs for the cars and what makes good racing. And I also think that one thing I will say was a good thing from this event was the track, as far as the configuration of the track with the progressive banking, I think that that was something that NASCAR and Bristol took the advice of some of the dirt guys like Kyle Larson. I think that did improve the racing a little bit. I think that's why we saw the top side come in, and really the top side was the preferred groove all night, and it ended up kind of being the opposite of last year. Last year we saw the bottom be so dominant that anybody that went to the top was it was impossible for them to go anywhere. And then this year it was if you're on the bottom, you are getting absolutely screwed on the restarts. We saw it happen with Kyle multiple times where he would get caught on that inside and just literally lose like 3 or 4 spots because he was trying to get up into that top groove. And I think this that is what really brought to light to me like a big thing that I think that needs to be done if they have this race next year is that pretty much every other race on the circuit, we have the choose rule where the guys, if you're in third place, you if the guy in first chooses bottom, the guy in second chooses top. Then if you're in third, you can choose top or bottom. But this race was not like that. There was no choose rule. Only the leader got to choose, and it really affected, I think, the impact or the outcome of the race.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, guys ran the top. Was just some great speed on the top. Reddick and Briscoe, they led a combined 158 laps. They were very quick, but I do think Kyle could have been the car to beat if he could just, get that top side on the restarts. We saw near the end, he was moving up a lot of positions. I believe he was in the 20s, and he ended up finishing fourth. But kind of going back to the whole dirt thing, I think NASCAR just needs to do a better job of managing it. Like we saw that insane thing at the end of stage two with the rain delay. It kind of seemed like nobody knew what was going on. You guys may have seen a few posts, like it was just a ton of confusion, and none of the drivers knew where they would place if the race didn't continue. We saw some guys pit, including Kyle. Some guys stayed out, and I mean, it wasn't a terrible call from Daniels to pit Larson there if the race did resume, which it obviously did. But the guys that stayed out were kind of expecting to take home the finish and kind of hope it rained, but and pray their car makes it on fuel. But I mean, that wasn't too hard to do considering a third of the race was taken up by caution laps. I mean, that was a big aspect of the race that made it unenjoyable for me. We had 14 cautions and 82 laps on a yellow and a 250 lap race. So I mean, just kind of insane that much of the race was taken up by laps under yellow.
Yeah, and even on top of just the pure amount of laps under caution and the number of cautions, like you said, 14 cautions, that's a lot for such a short race. Obviously, we had the rain and some other things, but I mean, the thing I have to say is during the first caution where there wasn't even any rain, that first caution where they threw it because of the dirt covering the grills, that was a 13-minute long caution. I mean, I know I think they went to red flag, but 13 minutes, and Fox had 3 commercial breaks during that one caution or that one red flag. There's just some things that I think are unacceptable from a fan's point of view, and I think as fans of the sport, we have grown to we've become numb to it in a sense. I think that we've kind of gotten used to having a poor broadcast and seeing all of these things that we used to love about the sport, and I've just never seen that before. 13 minutes long, one caution, and 3 commercial breaks. We can't stay on for more than 3 or 4 minutes, and then not even to mention with the truck race the night before, 13 laps to go in the race, 13 or 14 laps to go. They Fox goes to commercial break and puts it side by side, and they put it in a little tiny box where you can hardly even see what's going on. I think that the broadcast really needs to step up, and I'm not one to really come at Fox that hard, but I think something needs to be said.
Yeah, I mean, there's been so far this season, Fox hasn't done a very good job, in my opinion. There's races like, for instance, Martinsville. They did a poor job of kind of relaying what was happening to the viewer for each crew and the pit strategies and so on. This race, the pre-race was better than usual, but as far as in the booth, I mean, I think they had Daryl Waltrip. I think a good guy that they could have had for this was Tony Stewart. I mean, provides some knowledge on dirt. He has the dirt background. He's obviously very established in NASCAR, and I like him as an announcer. So as far as broadcasting, that would have been a good race for Tony Stewart to broadcast.
Yeah, and obviously Daryl Waltrip is one of the all-time greats at Bristol, but like you said, it's a dirt race, and we kind of like to have that unique dirt aspect to it with in the broadcast booth. So definitely some things that need to be tidied up for Fox, but this week it was announced that I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to be up in the broadcast booth, which is kind of a surprise to me because he is a full-time member of the NBC broadcast. But I definitely think that that's going to be a good dynamic up there in the booth with Clint Boyer and Dale Earnhardt Jr. this upcoming week.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I mentioned to you earlier, they're kind of going all Earnhardt here for the Xfinity race. We have Larry McReynolds be crew chief for the number three that Jeffrey Earnhardt's running. So, it's kind of cool. They're kind of contributing to the Earnhardt legacy at Talladega. So yeah, it's going to be cool to see Dale Jr. in the booth. Hopefully, we get some good coverage. Clint Boyer's pretty enjoyable, so we'll see how their personalities kind of clash, and hopefully they give us a good race.
So I guess kind of tidying up and wrapping up with the whole Bristol thing here. Um, I mean, man, for me, I think most of my disappointment doesn't even really come from the race itself. Like from the rain and everything was obviously frustrating, and the like we said, the amount of cautions and the laps under caution and all that. But I think the thing that was most frustrating to me was seeing how good of a car Kyle had in not winning that race. I think we saw stage one there. I really expected Kyle when Kyle got out front when after Chase Briscoe had the tire issue. Kyle really took off. I mean, he took off. He actually had the fastest lap of the race. I don't know how many laps he led there, maybe 30 or so laps, but I mean, he was. It looked like he had the car to beat.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I mentioned earlier Reddick and Briscoe obviously very dominant, led 158 laps, and Kyle was just insanely fast on the top. We saw that in qualifying. He ran the top like no other. He was just insane around the corners, and we saw all those guys with the dirt background in top, and you kind of saw those guys with no dirt background just hanging around in the back. But yeah, if I think it all came down to that end of stage two with the rain delay, whether you pit or not. It would have been interesting to see if Kyle stayed out. I think he would. I'm not sure. I think he would have started second at the start of stage three if he stayed out. So, I mean, I definitely think he had a great car, and if he stayed out, he would have had a good chance to win, in my opinion. He still did very well. I mean, considering he pitted, he started in the 20s. He made his way all the way up to fourth. But with all of those cautions, I mean, it was hard for him to gain track position on that inside. Like we said, the top was just the fastest spot all night. So, I mean, when he was on the top, he just advanced through the field like no other.
And yeah, like you said on the top, he was so fast, and I was kind of like surprised. I mean, I know a lot of this has to do with the track prep and stuff, but in in the second practice, I think it was second practice session, Kyle. That's when he got into the wall with the car. He got in the wall in practice, and I think he bent the toe link. Um, but he was running the wall like he was running way up against the wall, running like a way higher groove than what they were running in the race on Sunday. And I kind of was surprised to see him and like Reddick and Christopher Bell not run like a little bit higher, but I don't know if that just was a product of the track prep or if they just didn't want to risk going up that high. But all in all, I think it was a good race for Kyle, fourth place finish, and it'll be interesting to see how things will go heading into Talladega next weekend.
Yeah, I mean, kind of going away from Bristol a little bit. Just want to touch on a little more. I mean, I'm not opposed to continuing these dirt races. I just think NASCAR needs to do a better job, like with the rain delay, like thing right there at the end of stage two is kind of gray. No one knew who was where, and the failure to choose, and it's just kind of a mess. Um, yeah, I think it's a viable option for the future if NASCAR makes more adjustments, and I just hope it's at a track other than Bristol.
All right, so The other race that we obviously have to talk about today was the Kyle Larson late model flow racing late model challenge presented by Tezos at Bulls Gap. Um, Dylan, that was a great race. Again, Kyle actually finished fourth in that one too, but just same old song and dance in the late model for Kyle. He caught up to lap traffic towards the end of the race and just pretty much got stuck, had nowhere to go, and good race. But I honestly think that this Rumley Six team is getting ready to go on a tear here soon. Kyle has been running right up front, competing for wins every single time that car hits the track. Just seems like they've been a little bit off, but when you're beating on the door like that, I think they're getting ready to bust it down here coming into this upcoming week.
Yeah, for sure. That was a good race. We saw Mike Marlar obviously dominate, win the race. Kyle battled with Jimmy Owens there for a while, and unfortunately near the end, Scott Bloomquist made his way through, and Kyle finished fourth. But yeah, overall good race. I mean, raced hard, and Mike Marlar was just insanely fast. It just seemed like no one really had anything for him. But yeah, I hope to see some more events like this. It's cool that Kyle is hosting these events. I hope to see some more NASCAR drivers in these events in the future. We saw William Byron race that. He parked the car earlier, I believe, so he didn't get a ton of track time on the dirt. But yeah, just hope some more NASCAR guys kind of get out there and make it a fun event for the fans. Tons of fans came out at Bulls Gap. I think they broke the record for attendance. So just all in all, good event. Kyle ran good, and you just hope to see a win in the late model soon for him.
Yeah, so I mean, there will be a lot of late model events on tap. We'll get to that in a second, but just kind of last thing about Bulls Gap. Jeff Gluck tweeted out, just basically talking about the crowd, like you said, record attendance there, and I think he also mentioned that it was the most viewers that Flow Racing has ever had, or Flow Sports, because Flow Sports owns Flow Racing, but Flow Sports they broadcast a bunch of different sports, and I think Jeff Gluck said that this was actually the most watched event on Flow Sports in the history of the company. So huge hats off to Kyle Larson and the whole group promoting that event. It was definitely all it was hyped up to be. I wish we could have gotten some more NASCAR guys, like you said, but I think it'll be interesting to see what that event turns into over the next couple years.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, great event. It's good that he's doing it. He's kind of filling Tony Stewart's shoes a little bit with these dirt events, and um, yeah, just hope to see some more in the future, and hopefully he gets a late model win soon. I know some races are coming up in Florida. Might kind of make my way out there on the Saturday race, so hopefully I get to see a Larson win if I decide to go. But yeah, just hope he picks up a win soon.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the upcoming events for Kyle Larson as we get into the next week here. It is going to be a busy week for Kyle Larson. Like Dylan just said, it was just came out on Monday that Kyle Larson is going to be racing with the XR Super Series for the $25,000 to win race at All Tech on Friday night, the 22nd. That race can be seen on XR Plus at 7 p.m. That time is not confirmed yet, but we'll keep you updated on our social media as far as that goes. Then on Saturday, he will go back out to the Talladega Super Speedway for qualifying. This week's race at Talladega will only have qualifying and the race. There is no practice for that event. So qualifying can be seen at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Fox Sports 1. And then Kyle's going to make his way back down to Florida Saturday night for the $50,000 to win race at All Tech there in Lake City, Florida. Kyle won back in Florida Georgia Speed Weeks last year in 2021 at All Tech by 15 seconds over Devin Moran, I think it was. So definitely going to be a good race for Kyle. I know he's looking forward to that one. And then Sunday on the 24th, the NASCAR Cup Series will race at Talladega in the Geico 500. It'll be 500 miles, like I said, and I think the stages will be 60 laps for stage one, 60 laps for stage two, and then 68 laps for stage three in that race. That'll be on Fox at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And then getting into next week on the 26th, which is Tuesday, Kyle will be at the Eldora Speedway for the first race of the Flow Racing Night in America series. That'll obviously be on Flow Racing at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the very next day, at the Brownstown Speedway in Brownstown, Indiana, he will make the trip out there for the second race of the Flow Racing Night in America series at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Flow Racing. So busy week for Kyle. Upcoming, Dylan. We're gonna go ahead and wrap things up here on the show. Do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about Talladega. You know, historically not his best track. He unfortunately has 5 DNFs there, and only 2 top 10s and no top 5s and no wins. So we just hoping that he runs well there. Just praying that he can avoid a wreck. His car is fast enough. We've seen him on these super speedways. He's quick. He's always a threat every week. So I think as long as he can avoid a crash at Talladega, or of course, I mean a mechanical issue, praying that that doesn't happen. But yeah, just hoping that he can stay out there and get a finish Talladega and hope for a win.
I think Kyle is due for a good run on one of these super speedways. It feels like so long since we've really just seen him have a smooth race. I don't know when. It might have been the Daytona 500 back in 2021 that he's actually had a decent run at a super speedway. So like I said, hoping for obviously a win, but a good finish, a good top five, top 10 finish would definitely be nice to see at the super speedway there at Talladega.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's been, picking things up. We just got a top 5 at Bristol and then the top 5 at Richmond. So just want to continue this good streak of luck and um we're looking towards a good stretch of races for Kyle. I've mentioned last year, he hasn't gotten a win since Auto Club. Last year he got his win at Vegas, and it took until 2 months later to get another win. So, not too concerned for Kyle. I mean, he's been running strong, and I think he's just definitely due for a win here soon.
Agree with you there. I think, like we said last week on the show, good stretch of races coming up, and Kyle will be ready to go with that HendrickCars.com number 5 team. So I think that's all we have for today on the show. So thanks again for tuning in, everyone, and listening to the show. If you have any topics that you would like us to cover in next week's show, please leave a comment down below if you're listening on YouTube. As always, check out the links in our description for some awesome Kyle Larson Facebook groups. And we'll be back again here next Wednesday to recap this weekend's race at Talladega, as well as all the dirt racing on Kyle Larson's schedule. If you're watching on YouTube, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please follow our podcast so you don't miss a thing. Have a great rest of the weekend, or have a great rest of the week, everyone, and enjoy the on track action over the next week. We will see you in the next episode.